The Wonder Woman game seems like it might be in trouble. Rocksteady might be working on a new Batman game, and the future of WB Games seems like it's a little concerning. I'm I Don't Beat Games, and I'm here to break down some pop culture news. Let's do it. So this news comes from Jason Schreier, who works at Bloomberg and is probably the most trustworthy source in the video game space. News: the Wonder Woman game is in trouble. Rocksteady is working on a new Batman game that is ages away, and the next 2 years looks grim. Inside the turmoil at WB Games, which is ditching its president after a tenure of indecisiveness and unclear vision. So, thankfully, rather than trying to click on the article, which again I will link in the description, I'm going to go over to VGC. VGC, thankfully, another trustworthy outlet in the video game space. The Wonder Woman game has reportedly been rebooted and is years away. So when we scroll down, they go straight to the source. Now, according to Bloomberg, the project was rebooted last year and has switched directors. One of the company's biggest bets in development, a video game based on Wonder Woman, has struggled to coalesce, according to people familiar with the project. Earlier last year, it was rebooted and switched directors. The game has already cost more than $100 million, said the people who asked not to be identified, discussing non-public information, and is still years away from release if it ever makes it to market. Now, I'm just going to say what I've been saying on Threads, which link in description for you to follow, along with all of the articles that we're going to reference in this video. Now, I'm not shocked by this. I have been ringing the alarm since at least 6 months ago. Wonder Woman is one of those games where, again, we have not seen anything of it. We have not heard anything about it. There's been no articles. We've only seen one leaked image, which I'm not going to put in this video because it might get a copyright claims. But when it comes to this game in general, the most we have is this image. We have heard nothing. This is all we have to go off of, which is nothing, because in the video game space, when they do these type of trailers where they basically just show a logo and show a 30-second animation, all that is a hiring ad. That is essentially telling you, we have a concept for a game, we're gonna make this game, come join us to make this game. That's all it's telling you. It's not we have years of progress, it's not we have all of this development already done, it's not this game is around the corner. No, it's just we have an idea, we finalize the idea, we need people to come make the idea happen. And that's the case with Wonder Woman. I said last year on Threads, and I tried to find the post, I couldn't because I post a lot of news on Threads. I said, if we didn't get any updates when it comes to Wonder Woman in last year's Game Awards, we should be concerned, okay? Here we are, less than 3 months into the years, confirming my concerns. I have been struggling to understand what they're doing with this game. I have been struggling to understand why they bothered making this game or even announcing this game, besides needing to bring people on board, because the game is years away. They could have just hidden this game in development, not let us know about it, had it coincide with the release of a project like DC's eventual Paradise Lost show, and that would have been hype. We would have been like, oh my god, a Wonder Woman game is around the corner, a Wonder Woman game is coming our way, a Wonder Woman game is happening. I cannot believe it. We only thought we would be doomed to Batman, foreshadowing, we're going to talk about that in a few minutes, but here we are. An actual IP, a character we actually love, a character that deserves attention in the Justice League, a character that deserves attention in the comic book space, is finally getting their limelight, or at least their spotlight, after what was the doomed Wonder Woman 1984 movie. I ranked and reviewed every DC movie. I'll link that in the description as well. But point is, I don't understand the rush for it, besides the fact that they needed to hire people, which I understand is very important. But what I struggle the most, and what I guess angers me, is the fact that the game already cost $100 million. At this point, it's like, are we getting this game? Are we not getting this game? Is this game actually going to release? Because I don't think so. If you told me right now, I don't beat games, you're fairly caught up in video game news, you're fairly caught up in movie rumors, you kind of keep track of all the pop culture space in terms of castings and things like that. What do you think is going to happen, right? I would say this game gets canceled. I say before the end of the year, or even early next year, we will hear a story and WB is just going to cut their costs. Because here's the problem, all right? And this is unfortunate, and it's just a how do I say this? It's kind of one of those situations where they put themselves in this corner, right? Where WB doesn't realize it, I guess, or at least WB Games and WB in general. They've lost the trust of pretty much their entire fan base, except the people who will simply accept anything related to DC because we just want to enjoy DC content in general, right? And in this case with WB Games, which we're going to reference this, in fact I'll pull up the article now because we have it here, right? WB Games has said Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League's failure contributed to a $200 million hit to the business, and Multiverses added another $100 million on top. WB Games' only other recent release was Harry Potter Quidditch Champions, which failed to make an impression. Can you blame anybody for having no faith in WB Games? Can you blame anybody for being ambivalent in terms of announcements when they hear from WB Games? Can you blame anybody for having a tumultuous relationship? It's like Suicide Squad was just so late to the party and was just a complete misuse of Rocksteady Studios, who we'll get to in a moment. As for Multiverses, again, I streamed Multiverses here on YouTube. I was a big fan of Multiverse when it was in its alpha, but that was another mistake that just simply made no sense. I could not believe that they messed that up. And then Harry Potter Quidditch Champions, I tend to stay away from that topic due to a multitude of reasons, but I don't know why they made that game. They could have just released that as DLC for Hogwarts Legacy, and it would have worked out, and that would have been an easy win. People would have paid $20 to $30 if they added that mode into the game. Like, are you kidding me? Again, an avoidable mistake. But the point of what I'm trying to say here is, like, when it comes to things like this Wonder Woman game or those failures, right? Those are the things that don't instill confidence in the fan base. Those are the things that make us, I guess, hesitate to get any sense of excitement and any sense of belief that this thing that we're looking forward to is gonna be good. And I think with this Wonder Woman game, right, it's rebooted, it's years away, it cost $100 million already. If it ever, the wording of if it ever makes it to market, right, that doesn't instill confidence. That doesn't make me think or have faith that this is gonna come into fruition. That doesn't get me excited, because at the end of the day, like, look, when it comes to these, you know, cost of video games, right? These video games end up costing millions of dollars. We know this. But to hit triple digits is ridiculous. Like, I cannot emphasize this enough. We are going to head into the territory that if this movie comes out, right? Not this movie. If this video game comes out, it's going to cost the budget of a movie. Like, that alone is unfathomable, because of the simple fact that how do you come back? Let's say this costs $250 million. It comes out, it gets decent reviews. Do you think they're gonna make at least $350 million? Because if it costs $250 million, they're gonna at least have to make another $100 million because of marketing costs and things like that. So they're gonna have to get to that $375 million price tag for them to feel comfortable to say, we made a profit. Is that gonna happen? No. Like, that's not gonna happen, okay? That's just not the case. And it's just like, man, I know people might not know the developers' names, which is Monolith Productions, not to be confused with Nintendo's Monolith Soft, but like, you could have not patented the Nemesis system and just had it like you work with developers and then a better developer who is more suited for this type of a game. They could have just done it for them. And then like Monolith Soft could have made money off of that due to royalties or a payment deal or whatever. Like, it could have been an easy win. We could have already been playing Wonder Woman, but that's not the case, okay? Overall, right? When it comes to this Wonder Woman game, it's just like, yeah, I don't know why anyone would be shocked. I don't know why anyone would be, you know, blown away by this news. I've been sounding this alarm, as I said, for 6 months now. We didn't get an update at Jeff Keighley's Summer Game Fest, which is a game show that's about 2 hours long, and he kind of just goes over all these different video game trailers to get us hype, and there's usually 1 or 2 big announcements. When that didn't happen, I was like, okay, something's wrong, okay? And then going into the Game Awards, which is hosted by Jeff Keighley as well, and that's more of a 3-hour show. It's a celebration of video games and stuff like that. I kept telling people on Threads, if we don't see the Wonder Woman game here, we should be concerned. We are not going to be shocked, but we should be concerned. We should sound the alarm. We should start having discussions. Is this game going to come out? Is this game going to happen? What is going on? We haven't even gotten a 1-minute update trailer. Like, guys, if we don't see it here, sound the alarm. And everyone was like, no, it's gonna show up, it's gonna happen, guys, don't worry, he's wrong, he's just doom posting. And it's just like look at the headline, years away, rebooted, cost $100 million. This game is doomed. Even if it comes out, it is doomed. And what I mean by it being doomed is that the game could be decent, right? But after Suicide Squad, after Harry Potter Quidditch Legends, after Multiverses, after Gotham Knights, WB Games doesn't need to release a decent game. They need to release a good game, okay? And that's where we are. That's the truth. That's where we are. They need to release a good game, and it feels like this will not be a good game. Now to talk about the news that's actually exciting and actually positive. Rocksteady is back working on a single-player Batman game, it's claimed. According to Bloomberg, as part of a report explaining what each of the WB Games studios is currently working on, it's claimed that the studio, which made its name with the Batman Arkham franchise, is going back to work on the Batman license. Rocksteady is looking to return to the Batman for a single-player game, but according to people familiar with the timeline, the new project is years away from landing. Rocksteady Studios' last game, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, who can forget, was a commercial and critical failure. Rocksteady Studios suffered layoffs earlier this year, marking the second time in recent months the company had undergone job losses. I mean, yeah. This wasn't like a fear of mine. I always knew this was going to happen. I know to a lot of people, this is fantastic news. This is the news they've wanted to hear. This is exactly the type of news that gets people excited and lets people know we are listening, we hear you. This is exactly what we need to be told. Of course, it being years away makes sense. Video games take forever. If I had to tell you right now, if you're like, I don't beat games, when do you think we're going to get this Rocksteady Batman game? Earliest 2029. Like, I think we'll hear about it 2028. We'll see a trailer. It'll be released around 2029, maybe early 2030. That's just the state of video games. Video games cost a lot. They take forever to release. And if I'm WB Games, okay, this is just me. I'm not an executive. I'm a fan who tries to have level-headed takes when it comes to these things. I'm taking my time with this. Like, you have to get this right. You have to stick the landing. This cannot come out and be a failure. This cannot come out and have negative reviews. As I said with the Wonder Woman game, this cannot come out and just be decent. After what has been a tumultuous decade, WB Games needs to start the next decade off with a gigantic win. They need to come out with this Batman game, and it needs to be, oh my God, Rocksteady is back. They are here. This is not a joke. This is not a drill. They are here. This is the most exciting game of the year. This is getting Game of the Year nominations. This is everybody's favorite game. This is a pop culture moment, okay? That's what this game needs to have. Yes, that might not be fair. Yes, the pressure might feel like, you know, that's a bit of an exaggeration. You shouldn't say that. That's not fair to this type of game. No. When it comes to WB Games, Gotham Knights came, I was a fan of it. A lot of people weren't. The game was fine. It flopped. Suicide Squad killed the Justice League. Do we even need to go down that memory lane? It failed. It was a commercial and critical flop, as the article states. I mean, Multiverses flopped, avoidable mistake. Harry Potter's Quidditch Champions, I have no idea what they were thinking with that. They should have just made that a DLC for Hogwarts Legacy, but I digress. This needs to be a win. This needs to be a pop culture moment. This needs to be the return of WB Games and DC Games. This needs to be the torch that is lighting the way into this tunnel of this is the way to go. We need to have the literal moment from the Batman where this Batman game is saving all the WB franchises from being under the sea, right? And it's like, I have the torch. I'll even put the image up. Like, we need to have that moment where he's like, I'm gonna guide you and we're gonna get out of here. Like, that needs to be this Batman game. That needs to not only instill excitement, okay? This needs to instill faith. This needs to tell fans, like, yes, we're back. Yes, we've been listening. Yes, we're taking this seriously. I know Rocksteady Studios and development studios in general, they're all into every single game they make, whether it's good or not. We need everybody, including the executives on board, to be on the same page that this needs to feel like the grand return of WB and DC games. And what you do with this, I don't know. Okay, I'll be completely honest with you. But the first thing that jumps to my mind, and is the first thing that I think a lot of people will say, is just make a Batman Beyond game. Just do it. Like, you're not going to make a Batman Beyond animated Spider-Verse-like movie, or just a Batman Beyond movie in general with Michael Keaton. Just do a Batman Beyond game. Oh my God, it makes the most sense. You take Michael Keaton, you tell Michael Keaton, we want you to be old man Batman in this video game because obviously we can't use Kevin Conroy. Let's do that, okay? Let's kick off this trilogy of it being Batman Beyond and have Michael Keaton in it somehow, and the next young actor that's gonna take on the next two games by themselves, that's gonna be the co-star of the game. And just do that. It's the easiest win. This is what fans have wanted for years, whether it's on the big screen or in a video game. Just do it, okay? Don't try to do something that's really set in between. Don't try to even reference Suicide Squad. That's a disaster in the making. Go ahead, make the Batman Beyond game. Just do the thing, okay? Just do it. Like, it's the easiest. I don't understand why they wouldn't. There's really nothing else to say with this story because it's really not that big of a story. Like, yeah, years away. It's not going to come out anytime soon. Suicide Squad was a failure. They experienced layoffs. They're going back to Batman to get an easy win. Yeah, okay, good. Just do a Batman Beyond game. Let that be the game that everybody has been looking forward to for literal years. When it comes out, it comes out. But if I was you, being completely blunt and being completely honest, just don't expect hearing anything about this anytime soon. Like, I want you all to understand, this is not going to come out anytime soon. This is not going to have a trailer. This is not going to have any sort of teaser. You're not going to see this at a future DC fandom. You're not going to see this at the next Game Awards or the next Nintendo Direct or the next any video game showcase, even an Xbox showcase. You're not going to see this, okay? This is going to go into the dark now. Literally, it's going to go into the dark and it's going to disappear for a while. And we're not going to hear anything until maybe 2027, the earliest, or maybe 2028, the latest, I guess. I think before 2029, we will know that this is real. We will have a trailer. We will have something to go off of. But we're not going to hear story bits. We're not going to see a teaser trailer. We're not going to know anything about this for a long time. So don't expect to hear about this, okay? That sounds disappointing, but that's the way video game development goes. But that's not all. Now, we have another tidbit here where I'm just going to fit this into this section because why not? The CEO of Max, whose name for some reason I can't pronounce, said WB is going to be doubling down on 4 games. Hogwarts Legacy, doesn't surprise me. A sequel's already in the works. Mortal Kombat, that surprises me, but you know, Legacy. Game of Thrones is the most shocking thing. And DC, in particular, Batman. We are focusing on our development efforts on those core franchises with proven studios to improve our success ratio. I mean, yeah, this was my biggest fear though. DC, in particular, Batman. Look, I know it's going to sound lame. I know people are going to disagree with me here. I feel like, how do I say this without sounding ridiculous? I feel like going all in on Batman is the most boring route, okay? I said it. If you're a DC fan, I get it. You love Batman. I love Batman. I have a ton of Batman figures. I have a ton of Batman comics. But as the years have gone on, I've kind of gotten closer to other comic book characters such as Blue Beetle. And the harsh reality is that I just want to see DC characters be successful in general, whether it's in shows, whether it's in movies and in video games. And it's kind of disappointing that after Suicide Squad, which everyone said not to do, after this Wonder Woman game getting delayed, their reaction is just, we're going to go back to Batman. We're going to go all in on Batman. We're not going to really see any other DC characters unless it's a licensed game for the DCU. It's just like, you know, it's just a disappointing thing to hear as a fan. Now, what is shocking, and I think is very compelling, Gotham Knights developers WB Games Montreal pitched a JOHN CONSTANTINE game, but it was never approved. A Flash game was scrapped after the DCU Flash film bombed. It's now helping out with other games and is reportedly working on a pitch for a new Game of Thrones game. We're never getting Flash. JOHN CONSTANTINE is actually pretty shocking, and I have the PS2 game. Maybe I'll make a video about it because of this, but that's a really interesting take. I feel like people wouldn't have bought that even if the game looked good, unless it starred Matt Ryan from the Arrowverse. But, you know, I don't know why they pitched that in general. It's kind of cool to hear this. It's very creative in the sense of, like, you wouldn't expect that. Like, maybe a Green Lantern game, maybe a Nightwing game, because the combat was good, but I get they don't want to touch those characters after, you know, Gotham Knights. But a JOHN CONSTANTINE game? That's interesting. A Flash game? Look, y'all, I have said it for years, okay? The Flash needs to be done by Telltale Games, and it needs to either be done in a Lego game, or it needs to be done in a Telltale game where you could choose different paths. And you could do different things, and it requires some game combos, and it requires you kind of having the story, and they could have multiple outcomes. That's how you do a Flash game. I don't think we're ever going to get the Flash game people want, but that's what I would do if I was a Flash game. I'll call Telltale Games and be like, hey, let's make a game inspired by the Arrowverse, or, you know, kind of in terms of like that. Let's have 10 different outcomes, some big, some small. Let's let them do some combos so they could punch really fast, or they could control the running in certain scenes, you know, things like that. That's what I would do. But I would never do a full-on game that is you running around as a Flash, because it just doesn't work, okay? With this technology, people will complain if frames drop. People will complain about the motion blur. That will be mandatory. But I hate to hear that the Flash film bombed. Again, it's one of those things where it's just like another avoidable mistake. I would go over this again, but in my DCEU rankings, what I will say is that I gave a pitch for what would have worked for the Flash film, which is basically just taking the movie, tweaking some things, and including Grant Gustin as a star. It would have been a much better movie. I promise you. Again, link in the description for that video. Point is, overall, fans of Rocksteady will be here excited to hear that, you know, Batman's coming back, of course, blah, blah, blah. I mean, the most exciting thing here for me is this final line, which is the upshot of this WB Games, according to Bloomberg, a refreshed version of Hogwarts Legacy, a Lego game, and a few mobile games. Don't care about mobile games. Don't really care that much about Hogwarts Legacy. But a Lego game is coming back, and that's what Telltale's probably working on. Sign me up. I'm there. Day one. I'm there. I'm a Lego guy. I love Legos. I will always contribute to purchasing a Lego game. It's probably Lego Batman 4 or a whole new Batman trilogy in general, whatever. I'm there, okay? I hope it's not a Batman game. I won't be disappointed if it's a Batman game, but it would be more exciting if it was a Lego Green Lantern game, a Lego Justice League game, a Lego Superman game. I would take any of those over Lego Batman. But that's the most exciting news here. That is, to me, you know, everything. So to wrap up, not shocked at the Wonder Woman game being rebooted and is years away. I don't think it ever comes out. I don't think it's ever going to release. I don't think we're ever going to hear about this game again until it gets canceled. Okay, that's just the truth, right? You know, costs $100 million. It's struggling to happen. The game is, you know, years away from the market. Them wording it as if it ever makes it to market. None of this instills confidence. None of this gives me hope. If I was you, as a fan, as much as it hurts to say, I would just let this one go. Like, you're setting up yourself for disappointment if you continue to hold out hope that this game is going to release. Please just tell yourself this is not happening, so when the news happens that it gets canceled, if it happens, you're not disappointed, okay? Let it go. Let it go off as a memory, as a what it could have been. Let them hopefully not release this, so that way it doesn't come out and it's a mess like we all would assume, and just hope for better and bigger projects, right? As for Rocksteady coming back, I see this as a win. This is a win. This is a good news. This is positive news. This is exactly what we want to hear. I hope it's a Batman Beyond game. I won't be disappointed, but I think for everybody, for Rocksteady, for WB Games, for DC fans, this is a win. And, you know, hearing that the Gotham Knights developers pitched a JOHN CONSTANTINE game, but it never was approved, is a bit disappointing because that could have been something fun. A Flash game getting scrapped after the DCU film bombed. I mean, that's the wrong lesson to take because the Flash and the Arrowverse is some of the most beloved content ever in terms of comic book content in general. I think they took the wrong lessons from that, but I get it. They wouldn't have been able to release this in 5 years because everybody's memory would still be very fresh about the Flash movie. And finally, a new Lego game's coming out, and that'll probably be a Lego DC game of some kind, and that's exciting. But overall, you know, this is the pop culture news. This broke this morning. I wanted to get on top of this and make sure I made a video about this. If you have any questions, let me know. If you have any comments, concerns, curiosities, let me know. I'm willing to answer anything. I try to, you know, do my best to make this type of content and trying to do new things on this channel this year. If you want more of these videos, let me know. But for now, it has been I Don't Beat Games and your pop culture breakdown. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and more importantly, let me know that you want more of these sit down and talk conversational videos on the channel, because that's the type of content I want to make. Let me know what you think. Are you concerned about the Wonder Woman game? Are you happy about the Batman game? What do you want out of the Batman game? Are you hoping that the Lego game is a Lego Batman game or something else within the DC universe? Let me know in the comments down below. I'm all ears. But for now, this has been your pop culture breakdown.